Well, good afternoon. We want to update you on what's happened in the last 2 days and then talk about activities over this weekend, both for COVID-19 and also for the census. So we are reporting today that we've lost 1,358 Detroiters in this terrible virus. And the numbers, as you're starting to get used to seeing, continue to drop. And so the numbers we're reporting today, we've had 2 deaths in the last 3 days that have been reported, but the overall trend line again has been dropping from 290 down to 58 3 weeks ago, 32 a week ago, and 20 the last 7 days. What we are doing is continuing to work. How much it's working is really astonishing. And let me show you this chart, which we track every day at the fairgrounds. We track where people come from who are getting tested, whether they're positive or they're negative. And I mentioned on Monday that what we have seen lately is the city of Detroit, the people of this city have so committed to the principle of social distancing that our numbers have dropped below the suburbs. And I know some might have wondered if that was an anomaly. They're continuing to drop, so much so that since May 22nd, this blue line is the percentage of Detroiters who test positive for COVID at the fairgrounds. The red line is the percentage of suburbanites. We've had 3,000 test results in the last week. 2.5% of Detroiters, about 1 in 40, is testing positive. Almost 6% of suburbanites. It looks like at this point the people in suburban Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb may be running infections at twice the rate of the residents of Detroit. And I will continue to say this. It's not my job to be the voice for those communities. But if you look in the city of Detroit, the commitment to people wearing masks, the commitment to distancing, it is absolutely paying off. And I'm really proud of the fact that we're continuing to do this even as we open businesses. We've now had more than 2,000 businesses that picked up their PPE kits from us at Eastern Market and opened this week. And the reports we're getting across the city is that our business owners are honoring the requirements. People are wearing masks in the store. They're honoring social distancing. They're keeping the cash register away from the customers and appropriate distance. We can reopen the economy safely if we continue to make this commitment. And so if you look at these numbers, we certainly have pushed into what the governor has labeled phase 4, and we are approaching what she has labeled as phase 5, which would allow restaurants to open. I'm expecting in the next couple of weeks that we will be in that area if we don't abandon what we're doing. Now, if you followed what's happening, and I know the restaurant owners in this city have, and I know they're very anxious to get back into business. We've got a huge business owner base and employee base in the restaurant business that have been shut down outside of the curbside pickups and the home delivery. But up north, the governor has allowed basically 25% of the seats to be used. Most of the restaurant owners who are listening to me can't make a living with 2/3 or 3/4 of their seats closed off. Now, you can supplement it with the pickup, but what is happening up north, and what I think we're going to have to try to do, and a lot of other cities are doing, is we have got to go to outside seating wherever we can. We have to be able to give you more room to space out so that you can support your waiters, your waitresses, your cooks, your bus people coming back to work. And so we have sent a proposal to Detroit City Council. I've heard for years from restaurant owners, if you try to put outdoor tables in this city, it is basically a 12-step, 2 or 3 month process. And we were trying to fix that because as we were changing the streetscapes on Livernois and Grand River, we wanted people to be able to set up outdoor eating areas. We were trying to fix it anyway, but now it's even more critical. If we take 8 or 10 or 12 weeks to approve your outdoor seating, summer is going to be over. And so we are certainly hopeful in the next week or two the governor allows us to reopen the restaurants, but that means as a restaurant owner, you need to be ready. And so I'm working with Detroit City Council, and I am hopeful that council will act on Tuesday for an expedited approval process, whether you're using the sidewalk, whether it's an outdoor patio, whether you're using an adjacent parklet, or whether we have some street closings that may be appropriate for you to expand. We want to be able to turn this around in a matter of a few days. If it's street closing, it'll take a little longer. We're going to need to consult with neighbors before we make a decision. But it has to happen a lot further. I think council is going to be supportive of that. We have an outdoor restaurant guide ready to go to give you advice on how to open. And once council acts, we will be out in a significant way to encourage you and help you to get your businesses open and get your workers back to work. If we keep doing what we're doing and keep being responsible, we can reopen the businesses in this city, and we can do it safely, and we're proving it every single day. Joining me here today is the man of the hour, Eric Thomas. Had this idea to build on the Detroit versus everybody brand and have a unity event, everybody versus COVID-19. And he has lined up many of the top entertainers, artists in this city to come forward. And the plan was to go Friday and Saturday night from 7 to 10, have a celebration of what makes us great as a city. But he's had so many artists come forward and so much content, he's now expanding the hours of this event. And with that, I'll turn it over to Eric Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor Duggan. This has been an interesting time. I'm not an event planner, I'm a brand strategist. And not only are we not event planners, we are now doing an event that is really kind of one of a kind, a digital festival that brings together artists, rappers, a symphony orchestra, and comedians to celebrate Detroit. And so we've got so much content that we have Facebook and YouTube running one show and Instagram running a separate show with completely different acts. And we've expanded to a 5 to 7 o'clock pre-show and a 10 to 11 o'clock after party on both days. And so some of the people that are performing, you'd never see on the same lineup. G. Mac Cash, Oba Roland, the DSO, Thornetta Davis, Rocky Bad, A Conversation with Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, Charity, Aya Simone playing harp, DJ Godfather, DJ Killer Squid, two very different DJs, comedian D'Lo Brown, Dusty McFly, Nick Speed, Pretty Strings, Candy Smith, who is a violinist, and Sean Forbes, who is a deaf rapper. I mean, we have Medusa rapping in English and Arabic from France, and it has been overwhelming, the support and love that we've been able to get. And I have to really give credit to the Detroit versus Everybody brand and the Everybody versus COVID brand, which was created by Tommy Walker, partnered with TechTown, and the proceeds that actually go to the Business Stabilization Fund at TechTown. So not only has this become a rallying cry, it's also supporting small businesses in the city. And what I would like to say to wrap it up is right now, as a community, especially as black people, it's been a hard week. And we take this time to celebrate the culture of our city, the art that we do, the experts that we have, and the commitment that we've had to social distancing and flattening the curve, while still taking time to realize that we have brothers and sisters fighting every day for peace and access, for overt and systemic racism. And that does not take away from how important it is to think about where we are and what we're doing and what we have to fight for. And so this will be an interesting 2 nights. And I encourage you all to join us. I'm looking forward to having you, and I'm looking forward to rolling this out. Thank you, Mayor Duggan.
So thank you, Eric, and you've created something where we can spend 2 nights celebrating a lot of what is great about Detroit. And as Eric talked about support from around the world, we continue to be supported by people that you might not imagine. But In the last week, we've gotten major donations from the China Consulate General from Chicago and the Michigan Chinese community and the GL Media Group, who have donated more than 30,000 masks and hundreds of meals for our frontline workers. And we're deeply appreciative of the fact that the country and the world has stood behind us. This weekend, Detroit hopefully will take a step forward in standing up for ourselves. Our census participation is improving, but still stands behind the great majority of big cities in America. And we have to, if we're going to have the resources to support our children, to support the poor, to support people who need housing for the next 10 years, we've got to be counted. And we are being counted at a lot smaller rates than the suburbs. So anybody who wants to help, tomorrow, starting at 11, from 11 to 2, you can drive up to Martin Luther King High School in the parking lot, and we have a Drive Up to Be Counted event. And so we will have for you census totes, census yard signs, census T-shirts, hand sanitizer, masks, and all types of information. If you want to make sure that whoever's running this city 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, has the resources to provide for the very real needs of this community, we got to be counted in the coming weeks. And it's been a very interesting process. Vicky Cavari and the team now tracks each neighborhood and how they do from week to week. And last week, the Morang neighborhood on the east side jumped 5% in counting in 1 week. If the whole city did that, we'd pass Baltimore, Cincinnati, Philadelphia. We'd be in the top tier in the country. And so when I said to Vicki, how did that neighborhood do so well? She says, there's a neighborhood leader there, somebody I know well, by the name of Sandra Turner Handy. And she didn't get held back by the fact we can't have social contact. She came up with ideas for Zoom parties and Zoom bingo. And she has managed to show the people in her community how easy it is to fill out the census. And when you hear from your neighbors, people that you know and respect, you respond so much more quickly and many times than when you hear some ad on TV. And so I asked Ms. Turner Handy if she would show up today, talk about what she's doing in her neighborhood, and I'm hoping that there are some block club leaders, some community leaders, some folks with time on their hand to listen to the story and say, I can do that in my neighborhood too. So Ms. Turner Handy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have to give the credit to New Beginnings CDC, which is one of our very active community groups in our community. They held a virtual census party on Zoom. They invited residents in the community. They could call in or they could come join by computer. And they were able to, I was actually able to go through the whole census form with community members to lessen the intimidation that a lot of our community people feel when they're filling out governmental forms. They were very receptive and asked the right questions. And then we got to the fun part. We had bingo. We had numbers related to the census count, and they were able to win gift cards by getting bingo using numbers related to our census numbers. They're looking forward to holding a cleanup. Well, we can't do it the traditional way that we do it every year when we do our neighborhood cleanups. They're going to have one person at one house, then one person 2 houses down. But we're going to be cleaning up, and we're going to knock on doors and step back off of the porch and talk to our neighbors about filling out the census forms. It is very innovative and creative ways that we can get the word out. And I have to tell my fellow Detroiters, listening to the mayor and talk about how great our numbers are now, we have to continue this. But we also have to remember that now more than ever, we need those federal dollars coming down into our city. Those federal dollars provide for quality health care, which would have lessened the number of residents with chronic illnesses in our city, those that were most susceptible to COVID-19. We need you to fill out those forms to increase education and health care and other necessary needs in our city. So come out to Martin Luther King tomorrow. Come out, pick up those signs. Get those signs out to the areas where our numbers are so low in the city. Come out, get your kicker cards. Come out. They're going to provide you with PPE in order for you to go out into community. Get those signs posted throughout the community so that all of our residents know how important it is for each and every one of us in this city to be counted.
So this is going to be it. It's going to have to be people in the neighborhoods talking to their neighbors. And while we're moving up, we are still dramatically behind most of the rest of the state. And what that means is if we don't reverse that in the coming weeks, we're going to find ourselves in a year or two fewer representatives and senators from the city of Detroit, more and more from the outstate areas because their residents got counted and we didn't. And when we want to say, why are we not being treated fairly in Lansing, people will point back to the 2020 census. And certainly the city of Detroit had the worst performing response rate in the country in 2010. We're doing better this time, but not nearly where we need to be. So our future is going to be decided in the coming weeks, and we hope you'll come in and join us. There has been no greater success in this effort than the way that the Detroit Health Department has stepped in and protected the elders in this community. I think across the country, people are talking about the way Denise Fair and the team went into the nursing homes, but now they are working through every single senior citizen apartment building. The great majority of our neighbors that we're losing are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And while the fairgrounds is testing thousands of people, we also are testing thousands of our seniors by going directly to where they live. And so I'll turn it over to the person who has led this effort, Denise Fair.
Thank you, Mayor. So today we are reporting 10,954 COVID cases and 1,358 deaths from this virus. Now we are still experiencing active transmission, and as your health officer, I remain committed to protecting the health and safety of Detroiters. So as the mayor mentioned, we continue to test our seniors, and we are putting them first. So far, we have tested over 2,600 residents in senior apartments in 47 facilities to date. So if we have not visited your facility yet, we are on our way. We will plan to finish by the middle of June. Also at our nursing homes, we have first tested all 26, and we have since then retested all 26 nursing homes. And next week, we'll share a full report on our results. I did want to mention that yesterday, the Detroit Health Department, along with some of the colleagues from Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb, we issued a public health order to close all of the swimming pools. And that was necessary to continue protecting our residents. Now, although pool water does pose a low risk of transmitting COVID-19, this order was issued because it's really hard to maintain social distancing in a swimming pool, in and around the decks, especially where large areas or large gatherings can occur. So this order does apply to all licensed pools, including those in apartments, condominiums, hotels, motels, mobile homes, and also other recreational pools, including hot tubs, spa pools, and water parks. Therapy pools are used strictly for treatment in healthcare settings, and those are excluded. Again, please know that this effort was intended to protect the health and safety of our residents and also to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, as I often say, COVID-19 is our reality, and this means we must respond in such a way that our loved ones and ourselves are protected at all times, at work and at play. Now, we are almost at the halfway mark of 2020, with June just around the corner. This means that it's very likely that COVID-19 will continue and also overlap into the flu season. So we need to continue to be prepared. So I encourage all of us to focus on getting our body as healthy as possible, so that it's best conditioned to fight the fight should you catch a virus or infection. This preparation includes appropriate vaccinations as we approach the flu season in the next couple of months. And of course, continuing to wear your mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing. COVID-19 is a war on our health, but I know that we can win if we prioritize physical and mental health and put in the work, especially when we complete the census. It's so important to make sure that we are completing that census. We can conquer this together, so let's do what it takes to win the war on COVID-19 and staying safe and healthy. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
One last thing to give you an early heads up on. Tuesday, June 9th, a week from Tuesday, at 7 o'clock at night, I'm going to do an address relative to car insurance. And I'm going to, for anybody who wants to watch, take you through your car insurance bill and show you how you can reduce it. The new law kicks in July 2nd. And if you don't act, the insurance companies aren't going to give you a break. You have to proactively take action to take advantage of these lower rates. And depending on whether you're on Medicare, you could get major reductions in your costs. If you've got employer health care, or if you want to choose different health care options. And what I intend to do on that evening is talk to you whether you're on Medicare, whether you're on Medicaid, whether you have employer health insurance, you're on Obamacare, you don't have health insurance but you want cheaper car insurance. I'm going to take the time to go through for each individual group what action you need to take. And you should be already thinking about shopping around. I saw one of the insurance companies has already added a tagline to their TV ads that you could have savings July 2nd. Most of the others aren't letting you know that this is coming because they would just as soon collect the higher rates for longer. And so I know there's a lot going on right now, but Detroiters are paying way too much, and suburbanites too, are paying way too much for your car insurance. And starting July 2nd, if you act, most people in this community are going to see significant savings. And so we'll be talking about that more in the days ahead. And John, with that, we'll take any questions.
Actually, we have a first today, Mayor. No follow-up questions from media. So.
All right. Well, thank you all very much.
怎么又晚了？
这诊所太远了，这里多开几间就好了。
政府里需要有我们的人，需求才会被听到。
哎，你这……哎，你们两个都对，可光说有什么用呢？填好2020年的人口普查，就可以协助公共资金的分配，比如地方医疗、更多的政府席位。想要给自己发声啊，赶紧上网填，打电话也行。
请上2020census.gov 完成普查。